Alright, now that the time lapse is over, I hope you've enjoyed the build so far, and I just want to take a closer look at some of the details and go over the build itself a little bit. Now, something that I didn't record, but I did finish up where I added some skyscrapers essentially over here, and once again, just using that idea where, yes, I imagine the city would continue much further, and I mean, this would probably be like a hide city, so would be absolutely massive. And then here, I essentially made a port, or like a helipad essentially, or spacecraft pad, whatever kind of spacecraft the governor of this place would probably be using. And then I put some towers on the corners because I want to imagine they work similar to watchtowers, but if this is the world of Warhammer, there's probably like some anti-air guns or something in there, you know? Going over this build, it was just really wanting to test the limits of the game, and I absolutely wanted to focus on, for example, this tower and making sure it reached build height. So this is like the maximum tip right here, this tower. And it was just really making this super extreme and over the top and fitting that Warhammer Gothic vibe. And this has probably been one of the best builds I think I've done, especially this church here. And I think I did a really good job on it, and I'm really happy with it. I think I've died a little bit trying to get all the details in. And some of the other details you'll also notice, I really wanted to have, in Warhammer, there's a lot of statues and just like things of worship. So there's all sorts of tiny towers and kind of areas where people would be worshiping and praising the emperor. But then I really wanted to have a lot of pedestals for statues and things and try to add those around. Like one of the areas you did see is this one. I really like using these walls, and I kind of pretend they're like large slates, and there's probably like some scriptures and stuff written on it. And then using a lot of these lanterns to almost feel like candles, and then using chimneys. You'll see this a lot where there are tiny chimneys on the ground and wondering what those are for. I'm pretending they're candles, essentially. And I really try to make use of all these different ways to get around, and so you can kind of find small alleyways and essentially making my own covered entranceways. And then sometimes I'll even do it over here where you'll just have a doorway that it looks like it goes somewhere, and who knows where it actually goes. Just kind of adds to the build. But the last thing I do want to show off that we didn't get to see me finish in the time lapse because I ended up making it a lot later. We're actually going to go into the first person camera. Where the heck am I? Well, as we walk through the plaza here, I guess as I make my way to where I want to go, I really feel like an ant in this place. Like, it is grand. It is on a huge scale, and you really get the sense of, wow, this is ginormous when you're down here. But walking through here, this is where I made the Undercity, and it is very dank and musty down here. There's a bat apparently, and I think with the olden theme, it's all misty and foggy. Now I will probably up the brightness on the edits so that you can see, but it is very hard for me to see. And I think what best thing I can actually do is turn it nighttime, so a lot of the lanterns will turn on. A weird thing that does happen though is I think there's a limit to lanterns in the game. So at some point, the lanterns don't light up anymore. They still are luminescent, I guess, but yeah, they don't have the lighting on them. Still looks really cool though in here. Another way I try to add light in here is by adding all these windows, and I think they also just look like more buildings built within the walls of the Undercity. We take a look and a walk through. It's very spooky down here, honestly. Hopefully you can see, because I really can't see, but definitely try to add in all the lanterns that essentially act as candles in my head. And then we've got like another place here worshiping, and yeah, you know, sometimes I don't think we should discuss what's happening in the Undercity. That's left to the citizens of this place. That's, you know, we'll ignore that, and we'll keep walking and getting through the rest of it. But yeah, this was a really cool thing to do. And then once again, making use of some walls and tunnels to make my own entranceways. And so you can kind of pretend like they go somewhere. You can kind of see that it looks like there's a hallway that continues onwards, but there's not actually anything there. And it's just something I love using is making archways with the walls and then building my own square, essentially, because then you can make an entranceway that looks like it's headed off to someplace unknown. And just a lot of more doors and windows down here. Then we can leave the Undercity. So let's continue walking through the city, and maybe I should explain that a little bit more. I mean, I feel like if you made it this far, or even clicked on this, you probably had some sort of interest maybe in Warhammer, but if you don't know or aren't aware at all of Warhammer 40k, which is what I really base this off of, essentially it is a universe and where things are just super excessive, over the top, and one of the biggest styles for it is Gothic, like to a very large degree. And another way to really look at the overarching idea for this build without fully having to use Warhammer is just that it is overindulgent in Gothic. And everything is just massive and ginormous. But we'll continue walking past the massive major church. I really just like looking at it. And then we can take a walk underneath the bridge and it'll lead right back to the plaza where, once again, I honestly, if you ask me what this really is, I don't think I could fully tell you. I had an idea in my head and now it's probably some sort of shrine that's, dedicated to the Emperor, and we're like burning incense all the time. One of the last things I always like to show off whenever I finish a build is let's take a look in a different season just to get another perspective of it. Also, I think with the Olden theme, because of how foggy it is, sometimes I just get flashbanged with how much more color is in the other builds, but then you get the snow, and I will always check out the snow theme because I love the snow theme so much. Winter is just so cool, and everything is a lot more peaceful than it honestly would be in a world like this. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this Warhammer-inspired build. Hit that like button and subscribe if you did, because it really helps me out. If you want to see any of my other Tiny Glade builds, there are going to be cards on the screen for that. But my name is Felix, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!